Hi, my name is Jared Mackey, and as a group, we are going to discuss energy sources and what is the best energy source for the U.S. Energy is a property of objects which can be transferred to other objects or converted into different forms, but cannot be created or destroyed. Primarily, energy sources take many forms, including nuclear energy, fossil energy, natural gas. Most of them are renewable sources, like wind, solar, and hydropower. These primary sources are converted to electricity, a secondary energy source, which flows through power lines and other transmission infrastructure to your home and business. Energy is what makes our country what it is today, and is also the reason the U.S. has advanced above other countries. If the U.S. wants to continue to be the top dog, we have to further progress in getting energy from renewable and natural sources. As a group, I'm going to discuss solar energy. Brian is going to we're going to discuss solar energy, hydroelectric energy, ocean energy, and wind energy. So I'll start with the discussion. Um, the benefits of solar energy there are many. One of them is solar energy is renewable and sustainable. Solar energy is a low maintenance. Once it is installed, there's little maintenance to the solar panels and what you have to do with them, and they last quite a long time. Lately, too, the technology for solar energy has increased, and the efficiency of each solar panel is far better than it was before. Um, Another thing I want to argue is solar panels, solar energy is better for the people. Solar power can be put on houses, and people can earn money from solar panels. They can also save money by having solar panels on their house. I'm from California, and if you have property, there's some companies who actually will pay you money just to allow the company to put solar panels on your property. Yeah, it's only certain states, but it can affect and help out a lot of people economically. Solar panel, unlike other sources, creates jobs, a lot more jobs than the other resources, and is just big help to the economy. And a lot of times the government provides subsidies to pay the people to have solar panels installed. So the major points I want to argue is solar panel helps the economy and helps each citizen. And the second major point that why solar panels should be implemented to the U.S. more is its low maintenance and the technology for it has increased. So we'll now move on to ocean energy.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So I'll be talking about ocean energy. So not a lot of people really know about ocean energy, but it's actually a form of hydroelectric energy. It works very much like what we're used to with dams and such, where you have the water running a turbine that essentially is creating energy. But in this case, the energy is actually not being made by constructing a man-made architecture, but you're actually taking these what are called oscillating water columns, and you're putting them into the ocean, and the natural movement of the ocean waves is actually running the turbine. And so the way the turbine works is that there is actually a, per se, air pocket at the top that has the turbine in it. So the turbine is actually moved by the air pressure created by the ocean waves, which means that regardless of which way the ocean is going, the turbine is not dependent upon direction, which means that it's constantly going. So it's actually one of the more constant forms of energy. It's also been shown that it, because it's working with the water, it's actually 5 times higher five times as much energy is produced than using just regular wind energy. And this also has a lesser environmental impact because, first of all, it's out in the ocean, and it's not like when you're building a hydroelectric dam or something, or a windmill where it's shaking the earth, or the dam where it's affecting the wildlife. Then yeah, so just in conclusion, that our oceans, they cover most of the earth, and it's really just open space that we can use to be able to build those oscillating water columns, and the idea that it's a very, very powerful form of energy. And then yeah, that's what I have. So who's next?
All right. Great. My name is Eric Alsop, and I'll be presenting the case for hydroelectric energy. There are four main points I want to touch on: the cost, the service time of plants, the impact they have producing greenhouse gases or the lack thereof, and then other uses they have other than power. The first thing with the cost, hydro power costs about 2 cents a kilowatt hour, which is the cheapest you're going to get out of any other form of energy. Wind can cost up to 6 cents a kilowatt hour, and solar power costs up to 13.5 cents a kilowatt hour, which is quite a bit more than just the 2 cents. Next thing is that the power plants stay in service quite a long time, anywhere from 50 to 100 years. There's still some hydroelectric energy plants that are still in operation now after having been built 100 years ago. Hydroelectric plants don't require fossil fuels to operate. They produce the least amount of greenhouse gases, very little greenhouse gases. Also, the last thing is reservoirs have other uses than power. They become tourist attractions for water sports, and I can tell you there's nothing quite like wakeboarding at sunset at Lake Powell, surrounded by all the red rocks. Is some of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen. And also dams help with agriculture and irrigation. So just the four main points I went over was the low cost, the service time, the production of greenhouse gases or the lack of production, and the other uses just in producing power. All right, Ryan, is it your turn?
Okay. So my name is Ryan Duval, and I'm going to be arguing that wind energy is going to be one of the best solutions for the United States electricity needs. Very low where they are installed. Is also very economically feasible, and wind energy is a very clean and widely available energy source. So the first point is that wind energy has a very low impact. These wind turbines are very large. They are installed at a required distance from any residential area. They do make some noise, but they do not build them close to residential areas, so the residential population is not affected by the noise, the small amount of noise that the turbines make. it also has a very low impact on wildlife where wind turbines are installed. The next point is that wind energy is very, from the research I was able to do, wind energy, or the average cost of wind power in the United States is about 3 cents per kilowatt hour. And the current rate that I pay for electricity where I live in Idaho is about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So wind energy is very economical over the fossil fueled plants that are widely used across the United States. And another subpoint is that technological advances continue to lower the cost of wind turbines every year. Ever since wind turbines have been installed, the cost has been driving lower and lower because of technological advances. And because of this, wind energy is one of the leaders in providing electricity in the United States. And the third point is wind energy is widely available. It is most predominantly available in mountainous regions where air is pushed over ridges of the mountains, and wind turbines can very easily be installed there because mountainous regions are not taken up by residential areas as much as others. So it'd be easy to install a large number of wind turbines, and they would be out of the way and just very quietly producing electricity to power Americans' homes. And so the main points that I'm arguing here are that wind energy is very clean, it has a low impact, and it is economically feasible.
Awesome.
So one thing that was good that was brought up in when Eric was talking about hydroelectric power is just the cost of these things. I think hydroelectric power, because it's been established, it has a pretty low cost. But I feel like a lot of these other methods, because there's a lot of research stuff to go on with them, they're going to pay off in the long run, but there's a lot of cost for them now. So maybe if you guys, what do you think about, what methods do you think are more cost effective in the long run, you think? Or even in the short run right now?
For solar panel, I think, yeah, it probably is maybe overall one of the most costly ones. But one of my points that I thought was helpful to the U.S. as well was that it creates more jobs than I think any other resource. But yet it is the most expensive. I'm not 100% sure how many jobs, I guess the wind and hydroelectric create, but I would say maybe solar panel creates some of the most. But yeah, it is the most costly to have them installed and everything.
Doesn't it?
Go ahead.
Doesn't it take about 50 years for solar panels and wind turbines to pay themselves off? I thought I heard that somewhere. Just it takes like forever for them to pay themselves off, like decades.
I mean, I would say that since there are some solar panels that are more efficient now, maybe it's that many years is reduced to maybe like 15 or 20, but still takes a little while for it to pay back.
Yeah, and you also, like I mentioned before, a lot of these things are still in research. So even though it's, the technology we have right now might not pay off for a while, there is always newer technology, and you got to kind of take that into account. That, if this is kind of a direction we're going to go, research is going to be committed to that.
Yeah, and I think for any renewable energy source, the case is going to be that the source has a very high installation cost, there's a very high initial cost, but once like the solar panels or the wind turbines are installed, or the dam is built, after that, it mostly just starts paying back what you paid to install it through the electricity that it generates. So I think for any source, there's going to be an initial cost, but that's overcome over time. And how fast that is paid back just depends on what region it's installed. Solar panels installed in Arizona are going to generate far more electricity than ones installed in Washington, where it's cloudy most of the time.
All right. Yeah, well, and the one thing that really kind of concerns me about solar panels, though, is, I mean, this kind of goes for wind energy too, is that you have to have property to build it. Like, for instance, with the solar panels, you mentioned in California they subsidize it to try to convince people to put them up. But I mean, it's really something, you have to have people willing to put those on top of their houses, and people have various reasons for why they don't, whether they don't grab onto the idea, they don't believe in it, or they just, it makes my house look ugly, or, whatever that might be, changes prices of it and stuff.
I mean, that is true. For the hydroelectric and ocean energy, are there quite a few plants already in the U.S., or is it something that the U.S. could definitely implement more, and it could generate a lot of power?
Well, I know as far as the ocean energy, I mean, it's fairly new. Some of the research I was looking at, like, a lot of stuff is like said they built it in 2013, 2014. It's especially there's several different ways of doing ocean energy, but especially the oscillating water columns that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Those are actually fairly new, and some of the research on it is fairly new also.
Yeah, as far as hydroelectric energy goes, I mean, the U.S. has been using that ever since. It's just forever, like ever. And so I would say it is pretty well established already. I mean, there are dams anywhere you go. It seems like, and so I would say that as far as the research and the establishment of using hydroelectric energy, I would say that it's pretty widespread already, and it's something that is already efficient.
Yeah.
And that's a concern that I would have about choosing hydroelectric, just because just the convention or the physics of how it works is you have to have a large elevation difference between the dam and where it lets the water out, and to create that kind of energy potential, you'd have to build a dam in a mountainous region where the water would build up quite a ways in order to have that gravitational energy to turn the turbines. And since hydroelectric is already so well established, I think many of those prime locations where it has that huge elevation gap have already had dams installed there. So I'm not sure how much growth we have left in the hydroelectric energy field.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's not an issue of lack of desirable terrain for a dam. I mean, I'm sure that enough construction or landscape alteration could be done to make a place suitable for a dam. But as far as places where they as far as like the environment on the or the effect on the environment, I feel like is more of a concern, because I mean, like, natural habitats can be displaced, and people. There was even some cases of people having to move because of dams, but but I still think there is some room for growth there. But I don't know, especially, I mean, to me, it all comes back to the cost and how much it costs. I mean, as far as, I mean, and maybe that's why ocean might be the best, is that there is so much room out there for the ocean energy, and the cost is relatively low as well.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan in the fact that I think dams are good and they give us a lot of energy. They provide a lot, most of our energy these days, but I think they're kind of a thing that's kind of been established, and the idea is that we're trying to move towards things that are not such an impact upon the environment. And so, just kind of one of the things I like about ocean energy is, we have things out in the water like buoys and docks and things like that. That we throw things in the water all the time. It doesn't really affect the ocean per se, and just the size of these things also, with the fact that they're, I found in research that they're 5 times more powerful than wind energy. They produce 5 times the amount of energy because the waves are a lot more powerful than just the wind in and of itself blowing a.
I would probably like to add to Michael in that I think ocean energy is something up and coming. There's not a lot of technology. I mean, you mentioned some technology that is there that's making ocean energy quite effective, and it's something that the ocean is huge, and it's something that we could use if we could implement more of the technology that we have.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is kind of something that really does take a lot more research, and a lot of we have a lot more research for wind energy or for solar energy than we do for this ocean energy. So it might be something that's up and coming, but yeah, the really question, is it cost efficient? So I think we made some pretty good points here on all the different stuff. Maybe kind of wrap it up. Maybe if anyone's been convinced one way or the other, maybe what might be the best solution.
Yes, I'm convinced towards the ocean energy. I think that it may be a new thing, but I feel like the most important thing is the efficiency of producing the energy as well as the cost. And because of that, I feel like ocean energy is a way to go, if not hydroelectric energy.
Awesome. Well, it's kind of a win-win, right? Because it is essentially a form of hydroelectric.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jared?
I would agree. I would definitely like to see maybe ocean energy, and I think it's something that the U.S. should take a risk in maybe implementing more. I mean, I do like solar, and I think it's the best for, I guess, the U.S. citizens, but I think we should try ocean energy. I think it's something we should try. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think ocean energy may be a viable, or at least a viable solution. My only worry is there's tons of ocean space, but how much ocean does the United States really own? Because there's a lot of ocean near a whole lot of other countries that we don't have access to.
Yeah, that's true. Although there are actual ocean lines that there is like the middle of the ocean, which kind of nobody owns per se.
Yeah.
But we do have our coastlines actually go down to a certain distance. We own part of that ocean.
Okay.
All right, I think we've made a conclusion that I think ocean energy is what we want. And
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I guess we'll conclude unless anybody has anything else they want to add.
Well, I think ocean energy is good because we certainly have, with the Earth being covered with so much ocean, there's certainly room to expand to meet the increasing demand for electricity in the United States.
yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. It was a good discussion. Tell you guys all did quite a bit of research on your stuff, so that was good.
All right, thanks everyone.
Okay, good night.
Bye.